SwiftUI GeometryReader can be challenging to use due to its complex nature and the need for a deep understanding of geometry and layout in SwiftUI. Unlike other SwiftUI views that rely on the parent-child hierarchy for layout, GeometryReader operates outside of this structure, making it harder to integrate into existing layouts seamlessly. So, let's fix it. In this video, I'm going to demystify GeometryReader and what you should use instead. Let's dive in. Today, I'm going to demystify GeometryReader once and for all. And if you want to learn even more about SwiftUI, go ahead and check out the link in the description for a 50% off. I will talk about the details in just a second later. So, GeometryReader. I have just started off a simple Xcode project. Here we are in the content view. I know GeometryReader is kind of a pain in SwiftUI if you don't know what it is. And today you will find out everything you need to know. Plus, I'm going to build out a more convenient way of using GeometryReader. It's going to be called Geometry Stack. So let's get right into it. Let's see. Let's add a new GeometryReader right over here. So GeometryReader, as you can see, we have this initializer. Let's remove this. We don't need that. So here we have it. We have a text of content. We have geometry. By the way, this is added automatically by Xcode. I don't really like it, so I prefer just removing this part. This initialization is also great. And geometry, I don't really like it. I like to call it proxy because that's indeed a geometry proxy. We are going to talk about it in just a second. But why do we have this content text right over here on the top? On the top leading part of our screen, we are accustomed to just having everything centered in SwiftUI. Well, that's because GeometryReader is kind of like a frame, a bounds for your views. It gives you back actually the size of your view. So if you just go ahead and add in here, let's say, let's just go with the width. Width, we just go proxy dot size dot width. And there we go. We have our width. And of course, the size is also there, as you saw in the preview, we just updated. And we can also get the frame in, and we can just choose local or global, or we can just name one. Let's just go for global. It's, here is our frame. You can use this to set a set amount of width height to your containing view. So for example, if I will have a color right over here, I can set the width to some proportion of this proxy size width, for example. You can't access the size like width and height inside a SwiftUI view without the GeometryReader. So that's its core functionality. But as you can see, it's all the way up here, and I just stated this just a few minutes ago, and I don't really like this. It's not really SwiftUI-like. And furthermore, if we just duplicate this, if we just set the height and just, let's just go for the size and width, and then again, size dot height. There we go. As you can see, it's a mess right over here. What's going on? Well, actually, if I just add in here, instead of the height, you will actually better understand if I add a color of maybe teal. You will better understand what's going on over here. So you can see the teal actually covered that text. Let's see if I just move it up a little bit before the text of width. Well, now it's behind it. So yes, indeed, the GeometryReader's content, it actually acts like a Z-stack, which is again counterintuitive. We don't want that. We want this usually as a V-stack, and also we want it centered. So there you go. Now you know everything about GeometryReader. Now let's make it even better. So for that, I'm just going to build out a brand new container view, and we are going to make GeometryReader much easier to use within SwiftUI. So I'm going to put it right over here so we can just simply jump to the content view easier. After I complete this setup, I'm going to move it into a separate file. Just so you know, moving this into a separate file is the way to go, but this is a tutorial, so let's make it easier to access the content view. So First of all, let's create our struct, and it will be called geometry stack. There we go. It's called geometry stack. And this will be of type view, and I'm just going to use this custom initializer. Let's have a text for now over here. And yeah, there we go. Let's replace now. Well, actually, I'm just going to simply add it for now because we don't have the proxy and all of that stuff. But let's add the geometry stack right over there in the content view. It's right over there. We are going to use it as testing our implementation right over here. So what do we need inside our body? Well, we need the actual geometry reader. So geometry reader with the content. And again, I don't really like this auto-completion. Let's have this as proxy. And then the content. And as you can see, the content just simply jumped up. That's fine. We are going to fix that. So how do we move the content to be centered? This is one of my biggest frustrations with Geometry Reader. Introducing SwiftUI Camp, where aspiring developers can embark on a transformative journey to master SwiftUI in just 4 weeks. Through expertly crafted modules focusing on layout, data handling, navigation, and Swift data, students will gain the skills and confidence needed to become a proficient SwiftUI developers. Join my live Zoom sessions, each spanning 2 hours, packed with interactive learning and real-time guidance. Every session begins and ends with a dedicated Q&A, providing students with personalized support and clarification. Don't miss out on our early bird discount for the next cohort starting in April. Secure your spot now by clicking the link below and accelerate your journey to becoming a SwiftUI pro. Well, it turns out it's really relatively straightforward. So what you want to do is just create, first of all, we are going to move the frame and max width, not ideal height, but max width, we want to have it infinity, and then max height dot infinity. Okay, and that, as you can see, now it's really centered. This is what we wanted. Basically, what we did is taken the text's bounds, its frame, and set it all the way to the sides of our screen. So that's not really okay for the text, but of course we are not just going to use a simple text, we are going to use our custom views. So for now, this is a-okay. Maybe I'm just going to add it into a group so we don't forget to do that. Okay, so that's how we center it. Also, what we want to do is not have, like if I just add that color dot teal right over here. As you can see, now it's in the background. It's fine, but I want this as default to be a vertical stack. So let's add these into a V-stack. And I'm just going to go with the standard V-stack for now. Okay, so as you can see, it works. It's right over there. If I remove, by the way, the teal, it's going to be centered as it should be. So this is our very first step of making this really, really versatile. Okay, so, okay, we have our V-stack, but maybe we want to have a horizontal stack, or if we prefer the Z-stack, we want that also. So for that case, we want to have an option to have a case for those. So we want to create some sort of an axis, and let's create these axes. Let me just see right over here outside. Let's create an enum, and let's call this geometry stack axis. And we are going to have actually 3 axes. It will be vertical, case vertical, horizontal, and it could be Z, but I'm just going to call it depth. There we go. And by the way, let's just put this actually inside the geometry stack because we are not going to use it anywhere else. It's just inside the geometry stack. Okay, so now let's create a custom initializer. Well, before that, let's create a property for these axes. So we are going to make this private var axes. Come on. And it will be of type geometry axis. Okay, so let's create that initializer that I was talking about, and let's set the default value to be vertical. Basically, that's our custom initializer. It's really straightforward. I like to have these properties private because sometimes, and you will see, we should not access these properties just through the initializer. So now that we have our axes, we are going to loop through them. So we have the VStack, but we want to switch through them. And on the vertical, we're going to have a VStack. On the horizontal, we are going to have an HStack. On the depth, we are going to have a ZStack. It's really, really nice. Now, if I just have this set up, like let's just go for horizontal, we'll see now it has just changed. Really, really nice. Okay, but I don't really like, copy and pasting all over this view. And also, we want to have a custom view right over here. So let's add that. We want to add some contents. So again, it will be a private, but this time it will be a view builder. So at view builder private var content of type, it will be a completion content. Now, I didn't create this content. It's just of type view, which we want to set up right over here. So now content is available. Also, we want to add this new property into initializer, and let's just call this content at view builder content at escaping and that content. And then after that, self dot content equals content. There we go. Now we have that initializer. And of course, now we want to have some content right over here. So let me just move this teal and text of, well, maybe geometry stack. That will be just fine. Okay, so now let's wait for the preview to upload itself. Basically, let me just see. Oh, I did not change it. It's still right over here. So I'm just going to add in the content right over there, and then content on the H stack and also on the Z stack. There we go. Okay, so as you can see now, it says geometry stack. Really, really nice. Okay, that's really, really great, but this V stack and H stack also has something called alignment. So according to the alignment that we are going to set, by default it's centered, but we might want to mess around with the alignment too. So as you can see, there's an alignment, and this is a horizontal alignment, but on the H stack, it's a vertical alignment. So it's not that easy as setting up an axis, like an alignment, like we did with the axis. So what we actually need to do is set up our own custom alignment and then set up these alignments right over here. So for that, let's just set up these private alignments for the vertical and horizontal stacks. So private var, and that will be a vertical alignment of type vertical alignment. And then we are going to have another private var horizontal, come on, alignment, horizontal alignment. Okay, so as you can see now the initializer is complaining, but I don't want to set up both of them in the initializer itself, because if I set up a vertical alignment, I don't need a horizontal alignment because it's already using the H stack. So for that we want to have an intermediary. So let's create a geometry stack alignment. Let's scroll all the way down and let's create a new enum. Enum geometry stack alignment. And we are going to have actually five, well, actually 3 plus 3, 7 cases. So case dot leading, case leading, and then trailing. This is for the vertical part. Case top and bottom. And then we are also going to have another case when we are using the Z-stack, so none of the alignments, and that is depth. There we go. Also, if you noticed, there are centered alignments and they are different for each type of alignment. So we are going to create vertical centered maybe, and then horizontal centered. There we go. So these are the 7 geometry stack alignments, and we are going to add them right over here. Well, axis, let me just see. Let's put them before the axis. So alignment, and I'm going to have this underscore, so it's not going to have it written it out like the outer property alignment. It's much more SwiftUI like, and that will be a geometry stack alignment. And by default, let's just set this to let's see, because the axis is let me just see, it's a vertical, then well, actually let me just see how this would look like. Vertical, and then we would just have a vertical centered, I believe, or horizontal centered. I'm not quite sure. We're going to figure this out. So now that we have that, we can just switch through them. So switch alignment, and we have some cases, a lot of cases actually. So the axis, well, according to the alignment, we are going to switch through the axis. So, and the content stayed the same. So I'm just going to move this all the way down over here. And then what about the axis? So we are not going to touch the axis. We are going to set up our horizontal alignment and vertical alignment according to our geometry stack alignment. So we just say self dot horizontal alignment equals, in our case, it's leading, and then self dot vertical alignment equals dot center. So we are just going to use the default one. Okay, so let me just copy this out and put it into the trailing. It will be trailing right over here. Vertical centered, everything is centered. Then let's just copy this out, paste it in there. Now the vertical alignment will be top. Here it will be bottom. And then centered, then just center. And on the depth, we are just going to use the default one, and I just go for center and center. Okay, so as you can see now, everything is as it should be. We are actually, yeah, there we go. It's just a vertical. This is what I actually wanted to see. One final step is adding the spacing, because, oh, and yeah, by the way, yeah, we did not set it up. Maybe this isn't working as expected. So let's just set the alignment right over there, and that is the horizontal alignment. And then on the horizontal stack, alignment, and that is the vertical alignment. Okay, now let's see, after the preview has completed, finishing, it's just great. As you know, vertical and horizontal stacks also have a spacing, and maybe you want to check that in. But these stacks don't have a spacing. So again, I am in the dilemma of not adding that as you know, a property inside the initializer. So what I'm going to do is just add the spacing into the alignment. So how to do that? Well, we are going to add a property to those casing, and it's called spacing. And it is going to be a CG float, and it's optional because that spacing is optional. So let me just move copy all of these and paste them into those cases. Bottom horizontal centered, of course not the depth, because that doesn't really make sense. So now we want to have vertical centered spacing, and let's use the default value of a nil right over there. Okay, but we are actually not using that spacing. So now we want to add let spacing over there on mostly all of them, of course not the depth. There we go, putting it over there, and not the depth. Okay, so how can we set the spacing inside these vertical stacks? Well, let me just have a little bit more space over here so you can see it. Okay, so what we want to do is set up a private state variable of spacing. So private var spacing of type CG float optional. And this is what we are going to tie it into. So self.spacing equals that spacing. Let me just copy this out and add it to all of the cases where it needs to be added. There we go. Over there, and that's it. Now all I have to do is just add it to those stacks. So spacing is spacing, and also right over here spacing is spacing, and that's it. Now we have a fully versatile geometry stack at our hand. And of course you can just add right over here a V stack if you choose to, but you don't have to, because this is a view builder. As you can see, it will just build the views accordingly. You don't have to add it into a container view. Let's just have a little bit of maybe alignment of, let's see, top spacing of, let's just go with 50. And also let's have the axis. Well, actually, the axis, we don't need the axis, yeah. So I just realized that we are going to remove the axis also. So let me just move this out. So we don't have to specify the actual axis because we can do so right over here. So self axis, let's just go for dot vertical right over here. Let's put it right over there, and then horizontal. Oh, sorry, that's just center. Horizontal right over here. Horizontal. Once more. And yeah, we could just go for vertical on this part of the axis. We don't really care about that. Let me just see. Axis. Well, actually, it's depth. Yeah, it is depth. There we go. We already set it up. So now it is depth. And now, if we just set top spacing of 50, now we should see that it is indeed a horizontal stack, and it's just moving our views to the top spacing part, which is really, really nice. So there you have it. We have geometry stack. If you like this, we can just remove the geometry reader out of there. If you like this, go ahead and check out Master SwiftUI in 4 weeks within SwiftUI Camp. There are only 6 seats left, so go ahead and check out the link in the description for a 50% off, and I will see you in the next one.